fight for this administration in recent weeks, despite we've seen resignations from the teams of lawyers that were going to be in charge of fighting this. There's certainly a real sense that this is, despite what the Attorney General has said, this would be, to put it mildly, an uphill climb to try to win this. The Supreme Court has already come down with the decision. Whether or not further legal action actually emanates from the White House about this fight, at minimum, this is going to be another moment where the president commands the attention, he commands the TV cameras, and he sends the signals that this is what he wants, even if he can't get it. Another matter where the fight, perhaps, is more important than the actual issue at hand for the president and his allies.
It's about the fight, Willie, and as we slow down, in the immortal words of Foghat, and take a look at this presidency, we saw it during the campaign. We didn't recognize it as well back then. You know, I give the example of Marco Rubio getting an endorsement from Nikki Haley in South Carolina. That's the day Donald Trump decides to attack the Pope. So that controls the news headlines of that day. This is his game. It doesn't matter whether he wins or loses. He just wants his base to see him fighting all the time. And too often, we in the press just follow along like suckers.
Well,
I put
John,
myself at the top of that list.
John and I were just talking in the commercial break. The idea that that President Trump is this crusader for a question on the census is laughable. The idea that he even understands the census is laughable. The idea that he's ever cared about the census is laughable. But to your point, he's sending a signal to the people who support him. He's sending a signal to conservatives. He's sending a signal to Republicans in Congress that he will fight for them the same way he's done for evangelicals, for example. I will fight for you. I may not necessarily represent you and your values. I may not live the life that you want me to live, but I will fight for you. And that's what he's doing in this case. So again, in something that, the courts have slapped down, this idea that he could replace his attorneys in this matter. They did it again yesterday, but he does have an attorney general who's on the record saying, well, the president might be able to take some executive action on this. So at 3:30 or 4 o'clock this afternoon in the Rose Garden, that may be what the president tries to do. Even if it is futile, at least he's sending that signal that he's fighting for it.
Well, and Mika, just like when he said he didn't know who David Duke was the Sunday before Super Tuesday, just like Charlottesville, just like calling all Latinos breeders, here we have again the president doing everything he can to make sure that Hispanics don't get counted on the census. He knows he can't win that battle, but with Judge Curiel, that fight, it sends a message to the lowest common denominator in his base, and that's all he wants to do.
He's got the ICE raid starting this Sunday. He does a lot of this to deflect. In New York, it worked. You